my house was showered with debris. And I contacted the police, I believe, 3 times, contacted the fire marshal, sent him some photographs. Everybody was sympathetic, but they said they couldn't do anything. I have some photographs here that I shot last year. There's the roof of my house. You could see the debris on top of the house. And we go to the next slide. There's another one. I shot these with my cell phone, and they really didn't come out as well as I expected them. But the car is just covered with debris. If we could get a close up of that. There's my driveway. This weekend, when I was cleaning out my flower bed and rock garden, I picked this up. Here's more debris. I'll leave it here for you guys to take a look at. And I realize that 4th of July is a time to celebrate. I'm a veteran of 4 years from the Air Force. I served from 63 to 67. I believe in the 4th of July. But Andover is not Andover of 1960. We need to develop some new regulations. You know, I shouldn't have to live with, okay, I forgot that slide there.
Yeah.
There's his trash. And, you know, I went over and I talked to them. They were real nice. I walked away. It was like I had never even came over. They just continued to shoot off fireworks. So I don't have the answer. You guys are the elected officials. You guys have to develop an answer.
And
again,
your pictures do, by the way, show up a lot better on our laptops, so we
Okay.
can see the extent of what you're talking about, just so you know.
But again, you know, as I said, I contacted the police maybe 3 times, the fire marshal. I'm not going to put up with it this year.
Okay. All right.
So that's about all I have to say, but I'll leave this. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if I can ask a question regarding ordinance and such, is there not of you, Frank, you can listen. Yeah. So do we have anything, not worrying about it being fireworks, but just leaving debris on somebody else's property? Is there already an ordinance that if someone is excessive, like this obviously is, to cite them for that and even require them to clean it up kind of thing in our ordinances?
I think it's a fine line. If you're allowing those fireworks, I think it's a fine line. At what point are they in violation? Obviously, they're not going to clean them up the moment they shoot them. Things are still hot, so they're probably not going to be over there sweeping in the dark at night. So yes, you have ordinances against littering, but I think the question is, when does it change over from a legally allowed firework to litter? And maybe that's part of the conversation. Maybe it needs to be cleaned up within 24 hours. That's maybe something to talk about. Don't know if Chief Keller has any thoughts on that, but to me, that would be kind of part of that conversation is, if we're saying it's legal to shoot these off here, at what point have we transferred over into now it's illegal litter? Chief,
The challenge. Also, if it's just in response to citizens' requests versus looking for it is another, I mean, obviously they were called out multiple times, but it's dark. I'm assuming he didn't see most of this till the next day. So I'm just curious.
I mean, it's obvious
what we
that
can
they
do.
cleaned up the big pieces and put it up by the trash can. Otherwise, it would have left in the street. So, I mean, those kind of celebrations tend to.
Can I speak again? It's not an issue of litter. It's an issue of it's an issue of fire hazard. It's an issue of putting blemishes on the paint of my car. So, let's just skip the litter. Let's get on to the real problem.
If I came out and seen that on my house, I wouldn't be happy either. I can tell you, but I don't know what I can do about it or we can do about it, but it's a
Cities,
discussion that we can
some
have.
cities have regulations, don't
Yeah.
shoot anything over 6 feet or 10 feet or something like that. And if we could get back to the picture of his trash, that's sitting on a 4x8 sheet of plywood. And there's 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 8 fireworks there that probably cost $50, $60 a piece. They're 4-inch tubes. I mean,
Where was he discharging them?
he was discharging them, some in his driveway, some in the street.
And Chief Russell, the ones in the street, that's not allowed, correct? Sorry, is that a Keller or Chief? If I just say Chiefs, will one of you answer?
Under our ordinance, it's not allowed. They can only discharge on private property, which would be theirs, or in designated locations that you have designated, such as our parks.
Is that a cul-de-sac, sir?
Pardon me?
Is that a cul-de-sac you live in?
Yes,
Was it just the one neighbor or was it a group of neighbors?
directly across from me. And the way his driveway, I actually live west of him. And his driveway is tilted, so it comes right over my house. So even when he sets it off on his driveway, my house gets showered.
Rick, on the big shows we've had in Central Park, is there a lot of cleanup like this afterwards? And what do you guys do for the cleanup there to make sure that you get all the debris? I mean, are we still cleaning up that debris? I guess, what is this, a year later?
So when we had the NFA, we were cleaning up we would find stuff for almost a year, the little paper products and stuff that would get embedded down in the grass. But we cleaned it up. We used the lawn sweep and things like that to clean up the vast majority of it immediately being the next day after the NFA event.
And I think what I heard from you was it's not more about the debris or littering. It's about destruction of your property.
Correct.
Were you able to come up any type of like financial loss to your personal property on that? Or was
No.
it just something you just needed to sweep up and polish off?
No, it was all manual labor.
And didn't you say you spoke to him? I'm just curious, while they
Yeah,
were
I
shooting
I
off?
walked across the street and I talked to them and they were real polite and everything, but walked back over my property and they just continued.
Okay. May I ask your address? I've got it in an email.
Pardon me?
Your address, may I ask your address?
Oh, 319 Countryside Court South. And he's directly across the street. It's 318 Countryside Court South.
All right.
I wonder if we should have a discussion at maybe a workshop regarding just disallowing fireworks altogether except for Wichita. I'm not saying I'm for that, but having the discussion is probably a smart thing to do.
You would think they would at least, just by looking at pictures, I wasn't there, but shooting out of a slanted driveway, they could find a place that was more level or take time to make it level to try to minimize the
Well,
exercise you have to do the next day.
Yeah, some of the cul-de-sacs that I've seen people have, 4th of July parties in, it's, all of those is the entire street is involved in it. And there's a couple of those in your neighborhood, Troy, that they closed down the entire cul-de-sac, but everybody is in agreement. I would say that probably not everybody is in agreement on your cul-de-sac
oh,
property.
wait, let me reiterate here. I'm not against the 4th of July.
Yeah.
You know, I spent 4 years defending this country, and I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the 4th of July. But as you could see from the photographs, he had enough fireworks for 10 cul-de-sacs.
Yeah.
You know, someplace there has to be a limit.
Mr. Evan Nega,
Yes.
I mean, I appreciate your service to this country and I thank you for that. Do you have any solutions or ideas of solutions that you would think of?
Either designate an area like the city park or the football field or something like that, or restrict the fireworks to 6 feet or 10 feet. You know, they could set off showers of sparks or something. I don't mind fireworks, firecrackers, you know, that's fine. I just don't want this stuff showering down on the paint of my car, on the roof of my house.
I understand that and I appreciate that. I think I'm in agreement with Troy too, of, you know, maybe bring it up at a workshop or something to see if we can brainstorm some ideas in regards to this. But without, like Dr. Ford brought up, without actual damage, right, per se, other than a lot of cleanup or cleaning out the flower beds the next year, I don't think either of the chiefs then could pinpoint even like a vandalism or anything like that.
Well, I'm not asking for that.
Well, I mean, that's what you brought up, the damage to the car is that's the only reason I say that. So I'm just trying to think of solutions and, you know, if that was one thing, but if you're saying there wasn't really, you know, damage per se, then it's almost a nuisance kind of thing.
We can certainly take the matter up at your May workshop. April is dedicated to economic development. We've got a speaker coming in for that one, so we could do that. I will just plant the seed now. I'm not sure entirely what you'll want to do with item 10.1. I don't know if you feel like there's any impact or not. It might be worthwhile to communicate to those who sell fireworks at the same time that you tell them the dates and times that they can sell, if there's going to be some new restrictions that there've never been before. So I don't know what you tabled. Item 10.1 is setting the dates and times for sale and discharge. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm not sure if you're sending a message if you say these are the dates and times as of April 13th, 2021, and then in 6 weeks you come out and decide, let's take up a matter about restricting fireworks in Andover. It might be better to pause. Is there a time limit on which we need to have that resolution approved?
I usually include the resolution with the information about renewing licenses, which I would do tomorrow to all of the people that have had licenses to sell in the past. I would like to say, though, I had one of the fireworks wholesalers call and chatted about possible difficulty in getting fireworks this year and the amount of money that it was going to cost to get them across the ocean and whether or not they were even going to show up. And which told me that they're probably already ordered, you know, if they were going to, and yes, Jacob is shaking his head, yes. Fireworks are already ordered for this year. I don't know how you handle that when they've already ordered hundreds of thousands of dollars of fireworks.
Yeah, I guess I'm not for like downing the
I'm
4th
thinking
of July this year at all.
2022, we
Yeah,
could talk
it's
about-
really
Okay.
a discussion. I didn't say,
Yeah.
let's just
Yeah,
stop
changing
everything
the
at all.
ordinances. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay, my mistake. It sounded like we were headed towards this year. Okay.
No, but certainly this year might be some good, you know, at least some strong messaging that if you're causing damage, you're liable in some way. I don't know how that would look, but
Or if you're causing a mess, you should do your due diligence and clean it up.
yeah.
That sounds like some good positive messaging.
I think through the legal system, there's always been a process of lawsuits or whatever, if that's the route people are wanting to go for damage or restitution of some sort. I think there's already something in place through the court system already.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to continue to add things that I think you're just going to get redundant. You're specific.
But we do have ordinances in places like sound ordinances that you can't be.
But we're talking about the fourth, specifically the 4th of July.
Right, but we do have things in place that, sure, you could sue somebody for anything, but we have those things in place to make it
Did your other neighbors have?
avoidable for
I'm
our
sorry,
residents.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Did any of your other neighbors have debris in their yard and on their house as well, or is it just the way it was facing, or?
I had more than anybody else did, but others had debris.
Mr. Evanega, do you mind if I ask why bringing it up now as opposed to,
No, I'm not bringing it up now. I brought it up last July.
Yeah.
I sent photographs to the fire marshal. I had the police down to my house several times.
okay, thank you.
And he sent them to the mayor as well. So I've seen him. It's a difficult thing to take care of, but it sounds like more of a neighbor that's not being neighborly than it is an issue, in my humble opinion, So I do appreciate you coming before us, and we'll have a discussion about it along the line and see. But it seems like it's more if you got a neighbor that's not considering and thinking about the stuff flying over his neighbor's house instead of straight up in the air.
Could
It's
be.
logistics more than anything else, I would think. So, all right.
All right.
I
Thank you for
appreciate
your
coming.
time.
I appreciate your service. I appreciate you coming tonight, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. 7, consent agenda. Well,
Mr. Mayor?
excuse me just a minute. Anyone else have anything for the public forum? All right, this time we'll close the public forum. And now the acceptance of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Now the consent agenda, right? 7, 7.1 through 7.5.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the consent agenda items 7.1 through 7.5 as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 6-0. All right, this time we have zoning amendment, and Les is going to talk to us about it. Do we need to do the checklist first? So I now call agenda item 8.1, case number Z-2021-01. This application requesting an amendment to the Heritage Mixed Use Preliminary Planned Unit Development Plan to add a track to parcel 7 at the northeast corner of Yorktown Parkway and US 54-400, Andover, Kansas. Before we proceed with the hearing, I'd like to ask the council if any of them intend to disqualify themselves from participating in this case because they have a conflict of interest.
No.
No.
No. Ex parte communication. I will now ask the city council if any of them have received any ex parte verbal or written communication prior to this agenda item, which they would like to share.
No.
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 No. Negative. Has the city, there's always one. Has the city clerk received any protest petitions on this case or written communication?
No protest petitions were filed in the office of the city clerk within the required 15 days following the Planning Commission public hearing on March the 16th, and I have not received any emails or any type of notification from anybody.
I now ask city council members if they have all received copies of the draft minutes of the Planning Commission for March 16th, 2021, which summarizes the hearing on the case.
Yes.
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 Is this a new thing? We're going to do it in order instead of just.
Yeah. However y'all want to do it. I now call on City Zoning Administrator Les E. Mangus to provide us with a report on this case.
At their March 16th meeting, your planning commission held the required public hearing on this amendment to the Heritage Mixed Use Plan Unit Development. As the mayor explained, it's about a half an acre amendment to add some land that was not under the ownership of the developer at the time the original PUD was filed. You can see the exhibit up there on the screen. It's the little black rectangle towards the right side of the screen. It simply adds that half acre into an existing parcel number 7 that has an assortment of retail and commercial uses. At the culmination of that public hearing, your planning commission did recommend approval to you by a unanimous vote.
Are there any questions to zoning administrator from council?
Oh.
No? Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt the planning commission's findings of fact and
Oh,
recommend.
I have to finish. I'm sorry, Troy.
Okay. Was that a beep telling me to shut up?
Yeah, that was.
Glad
Thank you,
someone
chief.
caught that
Thank you,
beep.
chief.
Thank you.
Does the,
I know.
does the applicant wish to present any new information? No?
Can I talk now? Nope. Okay.
No,
Sorry, Chief.
no, it needs to be closed first, I believe.
We would
Troy.
like to welcome everyone interested in this agenda item to lay out a few ground rules. Please come to the podium, give your name, your address. Comments from individual members of the public will be limited to 3 minutes. The governing body has been provided the draft minutes and the video of the public hearing and has been made available. So limit your comments to information not previously shared at the public hearing held on March 16, 2021. Does anyone from the public have any new information? All right. Okay, we can skip that. Does the applicant have any further response to public comments? No. Assuming the council has received all the information they need on this case, you have received an outline of the choices provided under the state statutes for city council action KSA 12-757C. How do you wish to act? Mr. Tabor.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt the planning commission's findings of fact and recommendation for approval for zoning case Z-2021-01 and approve an ordinance amending the Heritage Mixed Use Preliminary Planned Unit Development Plan to add a tract to parcel 7.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Persons aggrieved by final decisions of the council on this matter have 30 days after today's action within which to appeal to the district court. Okay, now 91 US 54-400 at One Wood Drive, and Les going to talk to us about that as well.
Sure. A few weeks ago, we sent applications to the Kansas Department of Transportation Access Management Construction Program Administrator for construction of our backage road to serve the apartments in Green Valley at One Wood and US 54 and for the Heritage at Yorktown and US 54. We received comments back from KDOT that they approved our application for the construction of the Heritage portion of the backage road, but they wanted more information on the Green Valley project in the form of a traffic report so that they could have an analysis of the impact of that project on local traffic and the highway traffic. So we asked our consultant Trans Systems for a proposal to prepare that traffic report And they've responded with this $30,000 contract to provide that information to KDOT. It'll provide trip generation data for the proposed apartment complex, as well as existing and future traffic data for the area, and then give recommendations on any improvements that might be necessary to US 54 or even the Backridge Road and Onewood.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if I may ask Les, I felt like we received this information when this apartment complex came to us the first time, a traffic study on how it would impact at least from Onewood through Green Valley and then on to Andover Road.
Not a full-blown traffic analysis. There were some projections made about the number of trips that might be generated by the apartments and how those trips might flow. This analysis that KDOT has asked for is in depth and includes all of the projections for not only the apartments, the local streets, and most importantly, the highway.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question? Les, with this $30,000, is the developer paying for this?
Mike, that's a great question. It goes back to, I think it was 2012, when this property was platted. The subdivider at that time offered a deal to the city that they would donate the highway right-of-way required for the US 54 400 future improvements in exchange for the city taking on all of the expenses for the Backridge Road across their property, which is similar to what we've done with several other properties up and down the highway.
Thank you.
That, Mr. Mayor, sorry, can I ask a question? But that property recently changed hands to this one, so do we still have that same agreement then?
Yes, that agreement carries with the plat.
Okay, thank you.
That's good to know. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the agreement with Train Systems Corporation, Wichita, Kansas, for a traffic impact study of the US 54 400 and Onewood area related to the Green Valley Greens Backridge Road project and the not to exceed amount of $30,000.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank
Thank
you, Les. Fireworks, 2021 dates, times, and sale discharge. Jenny's going to speak with us about that.
We spent quite a bit of time at your last workshop talking about the dates and times that are before you tonight in the resolution. So you've got that before you. This would set discharge from 10 till 10 p, June 27th through July 1. July 1 is a Thursday. Discharge would be 10 until midnight, July 2 through July 4. That is Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the holiday weekend. And it sets discharge from 10 till 10 p on Monday, July 5th, the day after the holiday, which is typically the recognized holiday by most businesses in terms of employees' holidays off. Sale time lines up with those discharge times on the end, but it doesn't start until 8 a.m. daily.
I'd like to start off with this, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor. We had talked about this and came up with, 4 or 5 different versions during our council workshop. And I don't agree with this one being July 2nd through 4th till midnight. I'm okay with July 4th till midnight for that day only, but the keeping it at 10 o'clock for the rest of the days, I think is appropriate. I don't mind the fireworks, but I don't think, that it needs to go up till midnight for 3 days in a row. So that's my 2 cents.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
on a kind of based on what Frank had brought up earlier, I almost feel like I'd like to amend the ordinance in a way that I don't like it. I don't like saying like that. I just wish that the like Marietta or the other ones would have a PSA type something, be a good neighbor,
Mhm.
Don't shoot fireworks at the neighbors, or that's lame to say it that way, but just something nice that would be there, perhaps a checkout, if that would be an easy thing we can do this year.
And I was going to say, speaking on what, I missed his name.
Yeah. hang on.
Sorry, Jacob Marietta, 1611 Wedgewood. Can I?
Pause for just a second.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we'll let you speak, but we need to, next time we need to be prepared for that, all right? So, but go ahead. The public forum's over and this is not a time for it, but continue.
I'm sorry. I thought we spoke. I apologize. I wish I could have spoke to him. Is it Captain Roosevelt? I always forget what his Deputy Chief Roosevelt. We do a number of news things together, and one of our big things, he does the safety and the watering, and then my thing always is that your neighbor is your neighbor on the 5th and 6th of July, just like they are on the 1st through the 4th. So we do try to push that as much as we can through the news, through our websites and stuff like that. So that is, something we work very hard on because, being a good neighbor is important, and you don't want one day to run, a neighbor.
Okay, that's nice.
So if the message is getting out there as well as it is, I don't know, but we are definitely trying to get that out as most as we can because that's the thing. And a couple of the other things, sorry, I thought I would speak here. So the fireworks are designed, with an angled driveway and wind, there's always going to be some float, but we have a 3-meter test to test all of our products that everything comes down within 3 meters. And there's certain height, it depends on the actual type of firework, what it is, but we can't have any spark within about 12 foot of the ground is the general rule. Normally it's much higher than that over rooftops for things that go up in the air. So they have to be out within, and I'm not the technical guy, the fireworks, I apologize, but within so many seconds of it lighting and the heights so that nothing hot does come down. It's actually something that has been a major issue causing the shortage of fireworks over the years. It's a special chemical that we treat all the papers with. It was designed for Roman candles years ago. We started treating all fireworks with it about 8 years ago. And unfortunately, that made it in short supply. So it's kind of become it's not a law, it's a standard in our industry now because it's very easy to come up here and say our stuff's not on fire when it comes to the ground. It makes the fire chief very happy and it makes me sleep a lot better at night.
Yeah.
Well, that's now we're proposing 3 nights of till midnight. And then, our previous ordinance was 1 night till midnight. So people like Frank who came in earlier are probably going to, be calling a lot more. And when we moved here, in the house that we lived in, we had a wood shake roof. So the day before, the day of, and the night of the 4th of July, I was always wetting it down. Because obviously that catches on fire really quick, doesn't it, Chief? So even though I did did fireworks myself, but I'd have the hose out in the front and the back because I was, worried about it causing, fire. And I'm okay with, them shooting up the 100 feet or whatever they shoot, that's all great. But then you have the excessive people who go crazy on it, which that's good sales for you. But, with people like Frank and other people, that's a lot of trash that comes down. I don't know if there's anything we can do about it. But, we do need to have some type of talk or pamphlets or social media of, treating your neighbors right and, picking up the stuff in their yards, the next day or cleaning their cars off or something. If you have, a big, huge, ordeal going on and one person really doesn't like it, that's the person you really need to be trying to please. Some.
Give them a car wash gift certificate.
Something, yeah. I mean, there's no laws we can make on that, but we can ask people to be nice to their neighbors.
Education is all we can do, and it's always going to be a contentious situation, you know, and I realize, and I'm not crazy about it. It's just, I'm not. But the fact is 4th of July is on Sunday this year. So there's going to be people that not are going to get to sleep at 10 o'clock, but it's just, it's not every year. So it's just,
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Well, I have two questions. One, Mr. Marietta, in regards to regulations, are Andover sales of certain fireworks already regulated as far as what you can sell?
You guys basically follow the state law.
Okay.
You do follow the state law.
Are there other cities around here that don't?
There's like Wichita is what we call safe and sane.
Okay.
And if you look up the history of it, they've been trying to change to full power for a number of years, and it's just missed the last couple of years. I would say it's coming in the next 5.
There's no one around us that's looser then, if you will?
No, I mean, basically, state of Kansas follows basically federal law, except for they don't allow stick rockets, and that's what we sell. And so the artillery shells, the 500-gram cakes, the smaller kid stuff as well.
Okay. And then in regards to, what's the point of the sale and the discharge ending at the same time? I guess I don't know who to ask that to, but why do we have the sale and why do we have 2 different times or things there?
Jake, I may be misremembering, but I feel like years ago they were not the same. And there was a request to line them up, that people should be able to light them when they buy them, is I believe what the request was. Perhaps that's time and a misremembrance of the request years ago, but I do remember that being an issue maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah, there's been a few issues over the years with that, and it was a move to simplify, and that was a simplifier message. Like you guys provide us with a yard sign with the rules that we hang in all of our sales locations. We make a few extra ones as well because we don't want people getting in trouble and causing issues. So I think we did that to align it to try to make it easier, which has been easy. I think there's been the one issue is we do change the times a lot. And, that makes it a little bit confusing from year to year. I mean, I would personally tell you that I have to look it up.
Well, if we're hanging those signs though, and it's clear on the signs, then I guess what's the issue there?
I mean, it could go either way. It was just a simplification that there was one set of times instead of 2 set of times in the regulations. I think we tried and it worked fairly well.
And last year, what was the issue with the times last year?
Well, the one thing that we would like amended to this is that the 1st of July is an important day for us. It is, most government checks come out that day. This year, it being a Thursday, it's not a shooting day, but a lot of people are going to travel for this being a Sunday, 4th of July. And fireworks is it's growing to be a more female-dominated industry, but it's a male-dominated industry. And a lot of guys come and buy their stuff before they leave for the weekend at the last minute. So we just want every, hour we can to push some sales out the door on the 1st of July.
It's a fair point. They can get it done before 10 p.m. though.
Yeah.
They're not going to leave to go on a trip.
No, but they may come get their fireworks. They'll be ready to leave first thing in the morning.
But you're open at 8 a.m. I'm just saying. I mean, I get your point, and I don't.
So a lot of you youngsters don't remember that this fine state used to not sell any alcohol on Sunday whatsoever. So we were smart enough to go, some of us were smart enough to go on Saturday evening and get our spirits, if you will. So, and unfortunately some of us, so I digress, drank it before it was all gone Sunday morning, but we were smart enough to at least go and go get it on Saturday because we knew we couldn't get it on Sunday. So I'd like to think that most people are smart enough to know that, hey, I got to get it by 10 a.m. And let's not kid each other, man. These times are a suggestion when it goes to firing them off, because I work third shift and these guys have all heard it. I worked third shift for many years, and I'm telling you, not one time in the history of me living in this city did they stop at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. I'm sorry. It's just a reality. It's a suggestion. It's still an ordinance and it's still true, but it doesn't happen. So I don't have a problem with the times, and I would rather not sell them Sunday night. I'd rather not have them going off Sunday night, whether it be the 4th or not, till midnight, but it is the 4th of July. So one time every 5 years or whatever it is, I can deal with it, you know? So we all have to make concessions, and that's where we're at.
So Mike, did you want to change it at all or?
I would like to have it as just the 4th of July till midnight and not the 2nd and 3rd. That's my suggestion.
Do you want to make a motion? See if anybody seconds it. And see what happens.
time would you want?
10 o'clock or, yeah, I mean, and that's what we have done. And I mean, we get complaints on that, but I mean, that's 2 more nights that we're not going till midnight. I mean, go out and, buy them till midnight if you want. I don't care about that. But, discharging it for that extra 2 hours on the 2nd and 3rd is a little much.
We discussed this to nauseam
I know.
already. We agreed to these times with some kind of continuity.
It certainly was not unanimous.
It
though, so
wasn't.
That's a good point
I
to make,
agree.
is that we did not come to us.
It was mostly 3 to 3.
I mean, I'm totally for the times, and considering it's Friday night and Saturday night, talking about 10 p.m. being a suggestion, seriously, everybody's up. I get your point, though.
Yeah.
It's a fair point. But since you're not going to make a motion, I'm going to make a motion.
Wait, who's up on Friday and Saturday night at 10 o'clock? Yeah,
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution setting the dates and times for sales and discharge of fireworks inside the city limits of Andover, June 27th through July 5th, 2021, as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? Feel free.
I think I've already made my point, so.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
How many is that?
You want us to raise our hands?
Huh?
Would you like us
Yes.
to raise our hands?
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Nay, sorry.
Motion carries 4-2. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Marietta.
For a question, Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I think Mike could have had another motion to modify, right? He could have, it could have been seconded, and
Yes.
could he not have made a motion in this case to modify the ordinance? I can't remember the term now. I'm sorry.
You're talking about a
Resolution.
superseding ordinance?
Yeah,
It was
the
proceeding
procedural
motion.
method he could have.
Yeah. But he didn't.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, I was,
Totally thought you were going to do that. That's fine.
well, I mean.
Thanks, JT, for that.
Kind of knew where
Appreciate
it
that.
was going, so.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
All right.
So did we get an answer?
Yeah.
Could we have done something different to put it off till next week?
The answer was yes, he could have done something different. I believe is what JT was
Or
trying to
even-
say.
You're the city council. You can decide however you would like to do this. And so,
All right.
Gotcha.
you had a motion and it carried. So.
I would just like to clarify one thing. It isn't just a suggestion. So
Yeah.
if there is a call and there is a complaint and the police arrive and it's outside the hours of discharge that have been just approved, they will or can
Yes.
write a warning, a ticket, or however they need to handle that. But I do think it's important to state it. It's not just a suggestion. It is the rules related to fireworks in Andover.
So for the public to know, you do have to stop when the law says it stop. The mayor was just making a point. I didn't give an approval to do it. I'm just stating the fact that I've experienced through 30 years of living here, but do not do it. All right.
Thanks for sharing your experience with us.
Can I say something?
Yes,
Ask
sir.
you? Jenny, can we get the city, Chastity, to get involved with Facebook? And can we get the new PD's Twitter page and, be kind to your neighbor, kind of like what Mr. Marietta was saying? You have to live with them, 365 days out of the
We
year.
can certainly do that. I do forecast an interesting discussion on social media about telling people to not shoot and be polite neighbors when we have approved the shooting of these fireworks. So I think we can definitely do that, and we will work on the messaging. But I imagine there will be some spirited conversation and probably some emails that you all and we all might receive. So anticipate that, but we will work on some messaging to talk about being good neighbors and considerate of others.
I also think that it's good for the public to know that these hours are not guaranteed every year. And if we do have more complaints than we get normally, this may not be the case next year. So it's important to just take that into account. And if you'd like to shoot fireworks till midnight, it might be nice to be polite about it because you may not have the privilege next year to do it at that point.
Exactly. It's something that we shouldn't even have to, in the city of Andover, we should not have to discuss being polite neighbors. We've got one of the better cities in the whole country. And if you're shooting fireworks off and they're angled towards your neighbor's house, you shouldn't have to be told, hey, you might want to level up the board a little bit, So it's sad that we even had this gentleman have to come in and he was sincere in what he was saying. And I would be, he's a better man than I am. If I come out and seen my car covered, my house covered, it would be a different conversation before I was the mayor than it is now. So we just got to be polite and do what we can for our neighbors.
Mayor, if I could, in reference to Mr. Benjica, I believe his name was, his complaint, I took a note of his address, and we'll do everything we can on the 2nd and 3rd and 4th to see if we can have an officer in that area, see what we can do to minimize. As long as they weren't shooting in the street, they're on their own property, it would be legal, but we might be able to minimize a little bit. We would be willing to work with what I think Troy or Mr. Berry said about with our Facebook page and our Twitter and get that stuff out to the public. So we'll do all our effort there. And I guess the other thing I wanted to bring up is over the last 15 years, our police department's always been, basically, it was suggested that we are compassionate and we use discretion during this. So there's been very few citations that have been written over the years. There have been some, but very few. The officers go in and they interact. I think I brought this up last year before the 4th of July. The officers go in, try to minimize, negotiate, arbitrate between neighbors or handle the complaints and do the best. We could take a harder approach. If they're in violation after midnight or whatever, there could be citations written. But it's always been kind of the consensus, or at least relayed from the council, that they really wanted us to, during this time, I won't say look the other way, but to use discretion.
Mind you, I only 13,000 people, I got one email, and that was an extreme case. This gentleman did email me, and I think he was right, but it's not like we have a lot of it, you know what I mean? So
we're going to, in that case, if everyone's consensus, we're going to continue business as we have, minimize them, and we will see if we can't handle this problem here a little bit on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
And like you've talked about before, educational tool, if you get in there before dark and the table's slanted towards the neighbor's house, we can probably prevent some unnecessary.
That's true.
I'll buy a level If you want to put it in the car.
If Mr. Marietta has some of that information, I was trying to Google some to see if there's anything out there about being kind to your neighbor on the 4th, but if we can get that information, we can sure get it out.
Could you also send it to the HOA representatives that
We
you
can do
have
that.
on
It's
file?
a good suggestion.
Okay.
We can get that out there too.
Yeah, really good.
All right, member items.
Well, this Friday, we have a disc golf ribbon cutting, and hopefully the rain will stay away long enough that we can have that. And we just got the last bit of our signage in, the kiosk sign and the other caution signs and everything that came in today. And the Parks Department should be putting those out tomorrow. So they all look really sharp. And so really looking forward to that. And hopefully we'll have some other people come out for that celebration as well.
Caution, Troy's throwing.
Oh, man.
Ditto.
Limit me to 20 feet. I'll be okay.
I don't have anything. Excited about Friday, bringing some friends and some family, and hopefully we don't get injured. But
What's
Stay
Friday?
behind.
What's Friday?
Disc golf cutting.
disc golf ribbon cutting, sir.
Are you bringing a food truck with you? Homer?
Pardon?
You bringing a food truck with you?
Me?
Yeah.
Uh,
No, I'm just
No.
kidding.
no. It's a great idea, though.
Anybody else?
Yeah, unless I
Nope,
saw.
I've got nothing.
I do. I think many know that I'm on the board for Tri-County CASA, which is court-appointed special advocates for children. It's a big need and everywhere.
What county?
Elk,
What are
Greenwood,
the
and
three?
Butler. Elk, Greenwood, and Butler.
Thank you.
Elk and Greenwood are pretty small population counties, though, which is why we're Tri-County. I'll tell you, we have about 19 or 20 volunteers on average every year. We really have a need for volunteers, and a volunteer is actually becomes part of the court system, and advocates for the child, gets to know the child as they're going through usually the court system. Usually they're taken away from their home, and so the volunteer gets to know the child, their environment, and it actually offers up a suggestion to the judge. And it has a bearing on what eventually happens to that child, which is it's a very important role. It's an unfortunate one that we have. We served about let's see what the number was here. We served. I had it a second ago. 83. We had 83 in 2019 and 82 in 2020. But there was a need for almost 400. We just didn't have enough volunteers to actually manage it. You might be with the child for 2 years as they go through the courts, system, so several months up to 2 years. So I'm really reaching out for an ask for people that are interested in helping in this way to do so. Reach out to me. I'll definitely help out. I will say that usually it's a little easier for someone that's retired to do this. So maybe parents of people here, because it's a lot of invested time to make it work. And most people here, work and are unable to do that.
Is there an email address or something or
Just
website?
ttabor@andover.ks
Okay.
would be perfect. And then from there, second ask I would have would be for people here listening is we are in need of probably 3 board members. So if anyone is interested in being on the Tri-County CASA board, also get with me. I'd like to talk to you and explain and go over what it means to be on the board and how important of a role it is and how important of a nonprofit this is. So I hope that a few people will reach out to me after this tonight for that.
And again, what's the CASA stand for? Court appointed
Yeah, special advocate.
special advocate.
It costs roughly $2,300 per child as they go on average through the system. And the volunteers actually aren't paid anything at all. they volunteer for it. But again, they do become a part of the court system too. So anyway,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Anyone else?
I got two more things I just thought of. I know we haven't advertised or anything on our concerts yet, Jenny, but that should be coming out soon. Is that what I was reading?
It will be soon. We had one artist contract on your consent agenda tonight. We do still have a couple contracts that have not yet been approved. So prefer to have the contracts signed and fully executed before we announce. But within those contracts, they do have announced dates. And I feel like the announced date for this first one was coming up at the end of April. Let me pull up Katie's memo real quick because she had in there. Announced date for the first concert will be April 30th, so end of this month.
Mhm.
And the tentative date will be mid-May, around the 14th for the others.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Assuming JT can review those contracts fast.
No. Awesome. And the next one was, I know that the library board was looking for another member to their board. Do we know if that was filled or not, or?
There were some suggestions.
Okay.
I believe that appointment typically happens at your next meeting. I was going to look, Susan's nodding, so I'm remembering correctly. So I will get with Tom and find out where they are in that search so that we can be, actually, I think we have it posted on the website right now. So we'll find out who's applied, if anyone, and we'll get with Tom on recommendations for your next meeting. Okay. So at least 3 applicants so far. Okay.
Susan, would you send me a invitation to put so I can, before the mayor message, to let people know a month before 4th of July, what would that be? That I
June
can
4th.
let them know that. Keep it up. Yeah, so we'll help.
To
try
email the
help.
mayor
We'll
if
try
there's
to help.
questions.
Pardon me. We'll try to help, I'll try to help put some kind of word out there, and maybe we can even use our signs that we're using for COVID and put it out to the public for what we can do. All we can do is try to educate and do the best we can. There's always going to be the outliers, but let's do the best we can and try to minimize it. All right. And by no means was the mayor saying you can do whatever you want. Please don't break the law.
Jenny, sorry, Mr. Mayor, I got a question for Jenny. So that artist then that is in consent agenda, that's not public until April 30th then?
Correct. Yes.
Garth.
So you might quit putting it on Facebook and stuff, sir. All right. Any other minute? Can I get a motion to?
Actually, real quick, I just want to remind one more time while we're on TV and YouTube, tornado commemoration before your next workshop, April 26th, 6:15, hopefully weather permitting between here and the library. If weather doesn't permit, if it's dangerous to be outside, we'll come inside here, inside this FEMA rated shelter, and we'll have the event in here. But it's going to be a short half-hour event. But we do have participants from both high school choirs helping with that event. And we also have the mayor from 1991 who's going to be present and make some remarks. So I think that it will be a nice touching event for us to remember the lives lost on that day 30 years prior.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Depends.
It's fast.
Huh? Okay. No pictures, no stories, right?
No.
Okay.
So I was asked a while back to give you updates on COVID vaccines, 1,479 first doses at your Andover clinic. They did about 200 today, so we're about 900 second doses. And the clinic has stopped giving first doses unless there becomes more of a need.
Good. Thank you.
Cool.
Very important. Thank you very much, Chief.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adjourn.
Second. Anyone?
Second.
Dr. Ford.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Something interesting. There are 5 total cases currently of active COVID in all of Butler County and 1 in Anderson.